All right, says we live. Let's check the feed. Hey, Shalom out there, bear with us. Check this feed real quick. All right, we live.
Yep.
Why am I not hearing? Okay, cool. I wasn't hearing my voice. Hey, Shalom out there, Shalom. All right, brothers, GMS Charlotte, back at you with another live lesson, news and prophecy. We pray this lesson is edifying to hopeful elect out there. Before we get started, we want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth. Double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring in the house of David, the elect, that's pushing his word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers. Shalom to the elect. All right. So we're back at you with another live lesson, news and prophecy, trade wars, protests, and global instability, the transition. All right. And me and the brother was rapping before we started the show, just kind of putting scriptures together and articles and whatnot. But if you haven't been seeing what's going on, pretty much through the Spirit of the Lord, it's time for Yahweh Shema Shai to wrap this shit up. All right. And we're going to get into that because right now people are protesting. Bombs are being dropped over there in the Middle East. And we'll get into that maybe in the later part of the lesson, because as these protests are going on, the distractions that are happening, they just bombed Yemen. All right. And they're going after the what's it called? The Houthis. All right. Which is part of the axis of resistance. I did a lesson or two about that some time ago, which is pretty much, Iran and these Ishmaelite nations coming together to fight against the U.S. and Israeli hegemony out there in the Middle East. That's why there's so much, chaos and wars that are going on right now, because pretty much that's going to escalate to World War III, as we see with these trade wars, these tariffs. All right, these are economic wars that are happening right now, which eventually are going to lead to actual nukes being dropped, soon to come. And like you said earlier, can you elaborate on that? You said something about this is not a collapse, but a transition to centralized banking. You made mention. Can you bring that out?
Yeah. So, everything that we see is not going to be, a immediate, downfall of the economy, the global economy. What's happening now is a transition, right? We're seeing that this existing, global economy is being derailed in hopes to reestablish it under the new centralized banking, right, for digital currency, which is going to be tied to that MOTB.
Exactly.
Right. So we see all of these things that's happening right now. It's not going to be an immediate collapse, right, but one that's gradual, right, exactly. Like a domino effect.
Mm-hmm. And we told y'all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai that they have to move this thing forward. All right. Mm-hmm. We're all looking for the chip to be established. They have to present the MOTB. Right. So while people are worried about the tariffs and the stock market and the state of the economy, our eyes focus on what? The MOTB, because we know that this has to come to pass first before nuclear war takes off. Real quick, before we get into the video out, can you get Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter? Because like you said earlier, this is part of the long game. The little back and forths, things like that. But eventually, as we see, hey, Yahweh Shema Shai is about to speed this shit all the way up, man. All right, Lord willing, this the year. You got it, brother.
Yep. This is Habakkuk. Salakia. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. And the subheader in the Blue Letter Bible in the King James is Yahweh Shema Shai answers the prophet. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he says, what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved.
Yeah, so the prophets, the true prophets of Yahweh Shema Shai are upon the watchtower, and we're watching everything that's playing out across the planet. All right. All the global issues, all the news. All right. And that's how we're able to see these things and tie back to the scriptures. Yep. All right. Go ahead.
And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables.
Yeah, and that's what the prophets are doing. All right. Mm-hmm. The vision going back to the prophecies are being made plain upon tables. All right. The prophets of the Lord, the true prophecy, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, are breaking down the scriptures precisely. All right. Go ahead.
Yep. It says in the latter that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
You got it, brother.
Right. And as we were saying, this is the long game, right? At the end of the day, Yahweh Shem Yahushai's will be done, right? But we have to understand that it's a pace that the way how the Lord has everything scripted. Remember, pursuant to Proverbs 21, that the mind of the king is in the hand of the Lord, right? So he's playing on the minds of these elites to do the things that they do, the minds of the rulers to do the things that they do, so that his will can come to pass, right? And it's a gradual thing, right? There's a sequence of tokens that have to be completed, which is what we're holding in 2nd Ezra 9. But all of these things will come to pass.
That's right. That's right. And we want to get into that real quick. So as of yesterday and today, all right, there's protests going on all throughout America, all around the world. All right. And basically, these are the signs of the time. So let's just get into it here. Here we go. It says anti-Trump protests erupt in U.S. and around the world.
And tens of thousands of protesters have gathered across the United States and other parts of the world to demonstrate against U.S. President Donald Trump's policies. The hands-off rallies, as they're known, voiced opposition to President Trump's plans to downsize the U.S. government, reshape human rights, and his handling of economic issues. Marches also took place in Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Mexico, as well as Portugal. One of the biggest rallies was held in Washington, where Democrat Congressman Jamie Raskin accused Mr. Trump and Tesla owner Elon Musk of trying to tear down the American Constitution.
I believe Donald Trump is trying to tear our country down. The only thing that makes sense is he is working on the behalf of Putin. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, the things that he's doing is not trying to make America better. He's ruining our infrastructure, like every department in our government, he's ruining. And he's right now destroying our economy.
Hey, that's all part of the show. All right. Hey, Trump is a globalist. All right. He works for the elites. All right. He's the puppet. He's the guy that's going to usher this thing in. So what do they have to do? They have to tear this economy apart. They have to get rid of the Constitution. They're getting ready to usher in a new system. All right. That's why you said earlier, this is the collapse, but a transition. All right. To centralized banking to bring in the digital currency. You see?
Yep. That's it.
It's taken away all of our allies. We're a pariah in the world. And Congress sits back and does nothing. And we have to stand up and take our country back.
For me, the moment that I knew something
make a quick point real quick. You got it. And that's the spirit, as we was talking about before we started, right? If you go on X, there's this page called APAC Tracker, right? And it's pretty much a page that's dedicated to finding individuals within Congress that are funded and backed by APAC, which is the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee. But they particularly they have a stronghold over majority of Congress, right? So when you see the legislation that's being passed, right, it's being swayed by the influence of, as they call, APAC handlers, right? That's what they refer to them amongst Congress. They're APAC handlers because they really have a say-so in the decision-making that these individuals have, right? So as these Americans are starting to question and ponder the seat of authority in America, the leaders that you see before you are not the ones that control the show. And Americans, these Babylonians, are starting to put the pieces together, right? We're in that age of exposure. We're in that age that's tied to the instability, right, being brought up, the ordo ab chaos, right? The distrust is being made so that there can be a way for a new way to be paved.
The polycrises. All right, multiple crises going on at the same time, which is going to involve more people being in confusion. You know, not knowing where to look, not knowing where to go, not knowing who to trust. Right, that's all by design. You know, and it's the spirit that you had made mention about the APAC, because I just sent the video to Elder Malcolm, and this guy named Cory Booker, he's a senator. It says Senator Cory Booker advises APAC in a meeting on how to recruit African Americans to the pro-Israel cause. You see, so it's all about you know, them controlling, because pretty much what's going on. Your average Edomites, your average, you know, right wing Edomites, left wing, whatever. They know that America's politicians are bought and paid for, man. They don't have no say so in anything that goes on in government, man. It's all about the cause and the push for those small hats, man. Right?
Yep.
So let's go back. You have anything else you want to add in there real quick, God?
La.
Okay, come on.
It's back and does nothing. And we have to stand up and take our country back.
For me, the moment that I knew something was off was a historical rip in time was not standing up for our allies. With Zelensky, I love him. I wish he was our president. I knew at that time, I started crying because I knew it was something big. And I know that this is a historical moment today that I do this for my grandchildren.
Let's add that second edge. No, Salaki, I was going to say something.
Oh, no. I mean, what she said was spot on. We are living in a historic time.
Yes.
And this is not a light matter, you know, though a lot of our people, you know, they make light of the prophecies that's being played out. This is seismic. The events that have taken place over the past couple of days with these tariffs being, you know, implemented, even weeks, ever since the inauguration of Trump, it's just been nonstop with changes to the way of the quote unquote free world as you know it.
Yeah.
Right. The way how people envision quote unquote democracy, the way how people envision their future is being swept from under them. People are fearful. They don't understand why it is these things are happening, but through the Holy Spirit, we have that understanding. And as we read in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, we've been given that understanding to make it plain upon table for our people to understand the will of the Lord and make their calling of election sure to repent.
Exactly. Because this is the decline / transition. Yep. Right? You got that in 2nd Ezra 9?
Yes, sir. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. It says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." Zaquan, can you hear me?
Okay, we
Zaquan,
back.
you there?
I'm back. You there?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it went out for a minute. I don't know why I did that. You know, Satan. Read that again, Salakia.
I got you. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. It says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made."
Right. So this is the reason why all of this is happening across the planet, is because we're in a time of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai visiting this earth. All right. And it said, measure thou the time diligently within itself. How do you measure the times? By looking at the events that's playing out. All right. We're talking about global news. All right. Everything that's happening across the world. This is how you measure that with the scriptures. All right. Because the Lord told us that everything that we see happening in this current time, all right, was already written. You see? Go ahead.
Khan, if I may, can I get a quick precept just to go with that verse, just to land back on that point you made?
Yes, sir.
This is Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 9. It says, "Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. And when we go into the meaning of the word news in the etymon, it means new things. So before the report of what we see happening, on the news, these new things, right? Verse 9 in the latter says, before they spring forth, I tell you of them. So before this hit the news, before this hit breaking news, the press, right? Hey, Yahweh Shem Shai ordained his prophets to give you the press report before it actually came to fruition in real time.
Yeah. We're the true news reporters.
That's it.
Through the spirit,
Yep.
You got it.
Verse 3, it says, back in 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world.
Uproars of people in the world. All right. These protests are going on worldwide, all throughout America, across the world. These are uproars. All right. Like you said earlier, people see the state of the economy. People are uncomfortable. All right. People's security, if you will, is being shaken up. People had, like we talked about at camp, people have their trust in their bank accounts, their retirement, their 401ks. Hey, we're at the point where these people are getting ready to lose all that, man. Mm-hmm. You see, so people are completely shaken up right now, and that's what's causing these uproars, these revolts and rebellions, man, because they're like, look, Trump is fucking America up. What is he doing? You got it.
Yep. Yeah, these people, they bought into the dream.
Yep.
And now the Lord is shaking their ass out the dream.
That's
Niggas
it.
waking up all startled and shit. Like, oh shit, what the fuck?
I got something real quick just to add on to that, since I had made mention about security and comfort. This is Sirach 5 and 7. Real quick, Sirach 5 and 7, it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, and put not off from day to day. And we talking to you Israelites out there first and foremost, man, because this word is for you. Okay, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics. All right, you jakes that trust in the American dream, which is a damn lie. All right, that have all your chips put fully in America. You getting ready to lose horrifically, man, if you don't repent. Okay, it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, come, and in thy security thou should be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. You see that? So what we're talking about, again, the Lord is shaking up all you niggas' security, man. You thought you had it made in the shade, man. And we coming into some turbulent times right now, man. So if you don't know the Lord, if you don't know Yahweh Shem Shai, you're finished out here, man. That's it, plain and simple. You got it, now you go back.
2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
That's right.
Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest.
And the end is manifest, clearly, man. All right, this is going to be one hell of a summer that's coming up, man. It's going to be a hot summer, okay? The end is manifest. Trump is ready to attack Iran this year. All right. Before Trump got into office, he said it in 2024. He said that he hoped that the economy would crash that year. Now, look what he's doing now that he's in office. Okay. He's tanking this shit. And Lord willing, there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no stability. Lord willing, it just continues to get worse and worse. You see what I'm saying? But the point is, we clearly see now that the end is manifest. We are in those beginning stages. Right? You got it out.
Yep. You want me to keep reading in this?
Verse down to verse 6. Yep. Matter of fact, read the 10. Read the 12. Read the 12. Yeah, we gotta get all the meat off the bone. You got it, brother.
2nd Ezra 9 and 6, it says, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonders and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs.
These are the signs that you're witnessing here. All right, global protests. All right, tariffs. Okay, the price of living going up. The groceries. People are not going to be able to afford this way of living here, man. These are all signs. The decline of the American pride of these people, man. You see what I'm saying? These are all signs of the end of this place. right?
Right. Yep. I wanted to just dive in a little bit into that effect, right? Because you had made mention of the signs, and it said the effects, right, point out the ending. When we look at the scope of America and its dominance in the earth, we know that this is the revived Roman Empire because of that deadly wound being healed. And Esau, Edom, his way of thinking is very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Irrational.
It's irrational. It's cut and dry irrational. He's gonna do the same exact playbook as the ancient Romans did because those are his people. That's him reincarnated, right? So as we're seeing the cause of what took place from ancient Rome to lead to the demise of ancient Rome, we're seeing that take place in this revived Roman Empire by them setting up this image of the beast, which is the revived ancient Roman Empire, is going out the same exact way.
Absolutely.
The effects of that system are being played out right now. The fall of the ancient Romans all over again.
Mm-hmm. I got something real quick.
Okay.
Just add on to what you said. Because that spirit has been reincarnated. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit of Rome. This is why Elon Musk was talking about Rome is back. Right?
Yep.
It's Ecclesiastes 1:9. It says that the thing that have been, it says the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. All right. So as they say, history repeats itself, right?
Yep.
You know, it says, verse 10, is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It have already been already of old time, which was before us. All right. So as we were talking about, the revival of Rome in the spirit, that same Roman Empire system, right? They're trying to reestablish it again, and it's going to go down the same way as it went down before. All right. As we see the economy tanking. All right. There's no value in the currency anymore. Right. The gold standard, the gold and silver standard was removed. So what you have is what hyperinflation. What's the term called? Quantum.
You got QE and then QT. Quantity and then quantity.
Yeah. Well, how they just print money out there, man, and it's just further, fucking up the economy.
Yeah. You even had too with Rome. You had mass immigration at the ancient Roman Empire, and then you too had the issue of the military being stretched thin, through its expansion. So all of the signs, it just points to an end, but these people struggle to deal with that because this is their world.
Facts.
They struggle to have the idea of the world passing, which is why, as you said, Zaquan, you read Sirach 5:7, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord. Now is the time for you to detach your spirit, because the direction that this world is going into, pursuing the 1 Corinthians 7:31, this world is going to pass away. The fashion of this world pass away.
That's right.
We're seeing this shit pass away fast. This nigga been in office for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Fucked up everybody's lives. But then you look at us, we happy.
Sure.
We take joy in this.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
God. 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 7, it says, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders. For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Yeah, that's the elect. All right, those who were predestined to make it through. You see that? And that's why the Lord said what? He said, shall be preserved from the said perils. All right, to be preserved meaning to be kept alive, man. Perils represent, times of danger. You see that? So this is why we do the work. We want to have that covering. As we speak about this week to week at Kent, we want to have that covering when this thing hits, man. When you're talking about famines, pestilences, man. Okay, civil wars, martial law. We want to be covered from all of that, man. Through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Shai. Go ahead.
People think this shit light. This is not a light thing. Can I grab something for you right quick?
No, take your time, brother. You got it.
You know, when people hear us talk about Jacob's trouble, you know, when brothers go out on the highways and hedges, when we do these digital epistles, you know, and lessons, you know, people come across it and they like, man, y'all going a little too hard. Y'all, it's a severe matter. This is a life or death situation.
Sure.
Right? This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And what time is that? Jacob's trouble.
That's right.
Right? It says, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Speaking of the elect.
That's right.
You know, but, you know, just bringing that, you know, tying it back into what we're going through, you know, like you said, this is not something you want to be found with no cover.
That's right.
You need the cover of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because Ezra said, woe is me, woe is me. Who shall deliver me in those days?
That's right.
So for the mindset of Israel to in these days, seeing all this happen, and they still have this mindset of reluctance to repent, you're gonna find yourself in dire straits.
Sure. People don't believe it. People don't believe that this is going to happen. People actually believe in their heart of hearts that somehow, some way, this is going to be restored. Things are going to go back to normal.
Right.
You know, you got it.
2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways. And they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments.
Yeah, all you people that rejected the message, rejected the admonishment that was going out from the prophets to the Spirit of the Lord. All right, you people are going to dwell in torments, man. You know, you didn't listen. Ezekiel 33. You didn't take heed to the warning. So guess what? The blood is going to be upon your head. All right. You were warned of the sword before it came. Right? Go ahead.
2 Ezra 9 and 10. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me.
Mm-hmm.
And they that had loathed my law. May I speak on verse 10 right fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, the benefits, you know, going into, you know, the trinkets, you know, the various, you know, aid that, you know, our people receive, your ability to, you know, make your daily bread, you know what I'm saying, to be able to take care of yourself. First and foremost, to be able to draw earth, to be able to draw breath from this earth, you know, and to be able to live. That's a benefit. That's a gift of the Lord, you know. But Jake doesn't know the Lord. Jake doesn't acknowledge Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Continuing on, verse 11. And they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it.
Yeah, this is the liberty right now. This is the liberty and grace right now that we're under, man. To get right, to repent, to come back to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, to do what we need to do to walk accordingly with the Lord, man. Right, but our people took it for granted. Go ahead.
Verse 12. The same must know it after death by pain.
Right, and that's the end result. All right, straight to the point. The same must know it by death by pain, man. All right, a lot of our people are going to die horrific deaths because they refuse to hear out the Lord, to come back and submit to the Spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It's going to cost a lot of our people. All right, so as we see, getting back into the lesson here, all these things are going to be a result of that. All right, we're looking at the beginning of sorrows here, man. Right, which I do want to go into here. Right, just kind of add some more on what we just saw, because we were just dealing with the protests in America and around the world. All right, right here, I want to play this quick 3-minute video. This is from America's First Report. It says, will Americans feel ripple effects from President Trump's global tariffs? All right, so let's listen to the Fed chair, Jerome Powell. All right.
8%. Looking ahead, higher tariffs will be working their way through our economy and are likely to raise inflation in coming quarters. Reflecting this, both survey and market-based measures of near-term inflation expectations have moved up. By most measures, longer-term inflation expectations, those beyond just the next few years, remain well anchored and consistent with our 2% inflation goal. We remain committed to returning inflation sustainably to our 2% objective. Turning to monetary policy, we face a highly uncertain outlook with elevated risks of both higher unemployment and higher inflation. The new administration is in the process.
You already said? All right, higher unemployment. All right, let me get that. Isaiah 19 and 15. Because, hey, you complaining about how you can't find work right now? Man.
Yep.
Isaiah. Go ahead, Oxford.
No, I was gonna add to just interacting with some people in different fields. The way how AI is being deeply integrated into society as well is already inhibiting a lot of the things that made people invaluable. Like the fact that AI is now taking away a lot of people's production in their job markets is going to also exacerbate unemployment.
Big time, man. And see, and that's what them devils was talking about. What's his name? The Noah Yuval Noah Harari. What did he say? He said, "Hey, human beings is no longer needed." All right, they got the AI, they got the robots and shit now. You see what I'm saying? So that's right on point. This Isaiah 19 and 15, it says, "Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do." All right. So as we see this inflation go higher, it's going to be less jobs, more people struggling, and guess what? The crime rate is going to explode too.
Yep.
All right. So we're getting ready to see more bad times, more evil come upon the streets of America. Right.
Yep.
Process of implementing substantial policy changes in 4 distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. Our monetary policy stance is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties we face as we gain a better understanding of the policy changes and their likely effects on the economy. It is not our role to comment on those policies. Rather, we make an assessment of their likely effects, observe the behavior of the economy, and set monetary policy in a way that best achieves our dual mandate goals. We have stressed that it will be very difficult to assess the likely economic effects of higher tariffs until there is greater certainty about the details.
Man, these niggas know. They know exactly what's getting ready to happen.
Right.
You know?
Right. If I may,
go ahead.
May I just add a little bit into there?
Yeah, go ahead,
two
brother.
things that he pointed out, was the fact that the tariffs will impact unemployment, and it will also raise inflation. These are 2 components of stagflation. And I wanted to read right quick, if I may just share on the screen, right fast, Zaquan.
No, you got it, bro. Take your time.
Providing context as to what stagflation is. Let me pull this article right quick. I just started sharing it, Zaquan.
Got you.
All right.
Give me 1 second. My computer is doing that lag thing. Hold on.
Come on.
All right, there we go.
Yep. So right here is this article. It says stagflation is worse than a recession. Here's how to prepare. It says stagflation is a rare and challenging economic condition where slow or stagnant growth, high unemployment, and persistent inflation occur simultaneously. Right. And now one thing we see that we've been discussing going into last year was the cost of living crisis, goods and services, the cost going up and impacting the low and middle class economy. Right. So we've already had slow growth coming into the presidency. It was kind of, lifted back up a little bit just because people were like optimistic about the new regime, but that shit slowly faded away fast.
Right.
It says high unemployment and persistent inflation. So these are 2 components that were just discussed by Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. So these 3 components exist currently, right? It says typically inflation rises when an economy is expanding and demand is strong, which we're going to see happen because with the cost of, goods, there's also going to be less access to certain things, right? Because
Absolutely.
though, the cost of these items are being allegedly shifted, much more than they will be shifted to the consumer. Some companies may not be able to, do that. They may not be able to, bring that over to the consumer because the consumer may not be able to buy that.
Right.
Right. It says while recessions tend to bring lower inflation due to a weaker demand, stagflation defies this pattern, making it particularly difficult to address with traditional economic policies. What makes stagflation worse than a recession is the combination of economic stagnation and rising prices, creating a policy dilemma. In a typical recession, central banks can lower interest rates and increase government spending to stimulate growth since inflation is usually low. However, in a stagflationary environment, inflation remains high despite weak economic growth, making such stimulus measures risky as they could further fuel inflation. This limits policymakers' ability to tackle both issues effectively. Additionally, stagflation erodes purchasing power, weakens consumer and business confidence, and prolongs economic hardship. Unlike a normal recession, where falling demand typically leads to lower prices, stagflation presents a double burden, higher living costs while wages and job opportunities decline. So, this is essentially what's being prepared for the people going into the rest of the year.
Exactly. Beautiful points, brother. I'm on Salvation of the Elect. Post some heavy hitters right quick. Salvation of the Elect. This is 2nd Ezra 8:50. It says, "For many great miseries should be done to them that in the latter times shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride." All right. So this is what's being declared unto you people. All right. Great miseries are getting ready to fall on this place, man. People can't afford to live. Remember that. All right. No matter what you see on this fucking internet, social media and all of that, people pretending and flexing online. No, people can't afford to live out here, man. All right. Repossessions on cars are skyrocketing. People can't afford groceries. People are barely making their rent, man, their mortgages. Right. You see what I'm saying? This is an epidemic all across Babylon, man. So don't let social media fool you people, man. People are really struggling out here, right?
Right. If I may add too, Zaquan, as the scriptures say, leasing is hard at hand.
That's right.
People utilize that internet as a means to make their lives seem like it's better than it actually is. But we understand what's really going on because the scriptures tell us what's happening. We know the mind of the people. We understand the psyche of these people, the perplexity that they're facing, right? As the scriptures speak about in Luke 21 and 25, right? Niggas are doing installment payments and taking out loans to order a burrito. Like that shit, that's not okay. You got to do installments on a burrito for DoorDash. That's crazy.
Man.
God damn.
This is crazy, man. This is Salvation of the Elect. Salvation of the Elect, 2 Timothy 3:1 in the AMP. It says, "But understand this, that in the last days, dangerous times of great stress and trouble will come. Difficult days that will be hard to bear." See what I'm saying? So again, you think you're struggling now. All right. Hey, let's watch as this thing moves forward as we get into the summer of 2025, the fall, the end of the year, in the wintertime, going into 2026. This shit is about to be a complete mess. All right.
Right. And if I can say to me and a couple of the brothers, we were speaking, the brother Isaiah, the beloved brother Isaiah from GMS Raleigh, made a point, about being circumspect and really just being attentive with your funds. As the scriptures tell us in the book of Ecclesiastes, wisdom is a defense and money is a defense. So right now isn't the time to be just doing a bunch of lavish bullshit.
Facts.
Treat your money wisely in these times.
That's right. Let's finish this out here. Bear with me. All right. Am I lagging out?
No, I mean, you good.
All right, cool. I just want to make sure we're good to go. All right, here we go.
The likely economic effects of higher tariffs until there is greater certainty about the details, such as what will be tariffed, at what level, and for what duration, and the extent of any retaliation from our trading partners. While uncertainty remains elevated, it is now becoming clear that tariff increases will be significantly larger than expected. And the same is likely to be true of economic effects.
You got it.
So he says the retaliation, right? So today, you basically had China that made a retaliation against America's tariffs, right?
I got that video for you too. If you want me to pull it up,
you got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, shit. This shit going quick. This article was posted what, Saturday, and now here we are on Monday, and these trade wars are picking up severely.
Yes.
Fast. Nigga talking about some, well, we don't know. Bro, it just took 48 hours, my nigga.
Man. Here we go. And I'll pull, you know what I'll do? I'll finish this out and I'll play that next. And we can just jump to the 2 CNN clips I got.
God, that'll work.
Which will include higher inflation and slower growth. The size and duration of these effects remains uncertain. While tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation, it's also possible that the effects could be more persistent. Avoiding that outcome would depend on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored, on the size of the effects, and on how long it takes for them to pass through fully to prices. Our obligation is to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored, and to make certain that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. We'll continue to carefully monitor the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We're well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. It is too soon to say what will be the appropriate path for monetary policy. We understand the benefits of a solid economy where workers can find jobs and inflation is low and predictable. We also understand that elevated levels of unemployment or inflation can be damaging and painful for communities, families, and businesses. That is why we at the Fed will continue to do everything.
Yeah, I don't know why I was doing that. We'll jump to the next one, but I mean that's pretty much the point, man. All right. Again, these Edomites, they don't have the answers, man. You know, It's pretty much it's a done deal, right? Let's jump to those videos, right? And if you got any scriptures out, you can bring them out, or we could just jump into the video here.
Yeah, I'll get something right quick.
Come on.
It is pretty much on point right now. Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 25, it says, "Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven." Right? Mm-hmm. So as we see with this stagflation, right, this unemployment that's coming in, right, the decline of economic growth, or the stagnation, of economic growth, right? The money that people have is going to lose its value, right? The little money that people have, they're going to lose that as well, especially when all of this shit meets the road where we go into the crash of this economy.
That's what's all leading to.
That's it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Zaquan, there's no audio coming from it.
No audio? Okay, bear with me. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I don't know why it's doing this. Let me see. Because it did this to me last time. Give me about a minute. Let me see. Because you can hear me now, right?
I can.
All right. Give me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second, man. I'm just had to close. I had to close it out and bring it back up. It should play this time. All right, let me know if you hear it. I'm about to play it again.
We are following the breaking news. President Trump threatening to slap China with additional tariffs. Let's go live to CNN senior White House reporter Kevin Liptak. So, Kevin, what is the president saying about this potential escalation here?
Yeah, and it's a major escalation in this tit-for-tat tariff war between Washington and Beijing. Remember, Pam, last week, President Trump applied that 35% reciprocal tariff on China. China retaliated, applying its own 34% tariff on the United States. Now, President Trump saying this: if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trading abuses by tomorrow, April the 8th, the United States will impose additional tariffs on China of 50% effective April 9th. He goes on to say that additionally, all talks with China concerning their requested meetings with us will be terminated. And I just want to break down the math for you here, Pamela, because remember, President Trump had already applied a 20% tariff on China for its role in the fentanyl crisis. He applied that 34% reciprocal tariff last week. That goes into effect later this week. Now he's threatening this additional 50% retaliatory tariff on China, this tit for tat back and forth. That would bring the total tariffs on China by the United States to 104%, which is a huge number. China, the world's second largest economy, one of the United States' largest trading partners. This could have a serious...
Yeah, we get it. And America gets everything from fucking China, man.
Right.
See, and who are these tariffs going to affect the most? All right, you common people. All right. I just want to read this real quick. Okay. It's Isaiah 24. I believe a brother posted it earlier. Isaiah 24:8, it says, the mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoiceth endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. They should not drink wine with the song, strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it, right? Because we coming into a time where you're not going to be able to, chase away your sorrows, man. All right. The Lord is telling us here that the mirth and everything is going to cease. It's about to be extremely hard, tough times out here. It says,
Right.
It says, verse 10, the city of confusion is broken down. All right. That's America, Babylon. And this place is being systematically broken down. As you see what Trump is doing. It says the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in. All right. Because we're talking about businesses closing down. People can't find work. All right. It says there is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. All right. And like I said, these tariffs are going to really affect, you common people, especially you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics. All right. As they increase hyperinflation, things get more expensive. All right. Again, it's going to be even more harder to live.
serious effect.
May I just grab something right quick?
You got it.
Because literally, like, just putting this shit into numbers, right? There's been this article that I've seen a couple of times as far as the price of the iPhone and how it could double the iPhone's price.
I got that
so
too.
It says, oh, you got that article?
Yeah, I thought I pulled it up here. Let me check my other. Go ahead. I'll put it in the screen too. But go ahead and talk.
Because one thing, you think about, the mirth of the land. One of the main things that's attributed to that is people's access to social media, technology, and things of that nature. So we understand most of that gets imported, right? So what are people going to do when you can't afford to buy that new Nintendo Switch? Because that's been the talk. Everybody like, fuck that Nintendo Switch. I ain't buying that bitch. That shit gonna be astronomically expensive.
Right.
PlayStations and shit.
Right.
But when you read this article here from CNET, it's talking about the iPhone price. But just jumping straight to the point, it says if the price of iPhone's top of the line iPhone 16 Pro Max went up 40%, it could increase from $1,599 to over $2,200. If it went up the full 104% in proposed tariffs, the price of an iPhone 16 Pro Max could soar to more than $3,200.
There you go.
Now, mind you, niggas don't got bread. The average American household is scraping by to make ends meet.
Right.
Do you think that they're honestly going to pour their money into the economy to purchase goods when they themselves are struggling to get by? They have no emergency savings and things of that nature. It ain't gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen. You know, all the extravagant vacations and traveling and, you know, just kind of living your best life. Them days are done. All right.
Right.
And this just, like you said, iPhone 16 Pro from $1,100 to an eye-watering $3,500. Man, people have no clue what's about to go down, man. Let's go back. That's crazy.
Trading partners, this could have a serious effect for American consumers, given the amount of goods that come into the United States. And I think just as we have seen today, the market's clearly looking for some kind of off-ramp here, for some kind of easing on the part of the president. This shows that the president is very much committed to this tariff plan, exactly not what the markets were looking for, Pamela.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, you know, the White House has been talking about how all these countries, more than 50 countries, have come and you know, reached out to the president wanting to negotiate. But the White House is also sending these mixed messages on whether the president is willing to negotiate. Where do things stand on that front?
Yeah, it seems to be that the president is willing to talk to these countries about potential trade deals, but that the bar will be very high for him to lift these tariffs. That seems to be the combination of what you're hearing from White House advisors today. We do know this morning that the president spoke to the Prime Minister of Japan, that country looking to ease up some of the tariffs on them, saying that they will be sending a high
Give me a second. Salakia.
level delegation to the United States to talk about trade. The president will also discuss this with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, later today. He imposed a 17% tariff on Israel last week, but in a way, that's a cautionary tale. Remember, Netanyahu lifted customs duties on U.S. imports to Israel, but the president went ahead with that tariff anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely right. Kevin Lipchak, thank you so much. Wolf?
There you go. You know, and I got another one I want to play, which came out, I want to say 8 hours before this one that we just watched. And I want to grab the scripture. This one's about 10 minutes. I don't know if we'll play the whole thing. We'll see. But as a matter of fact, before we even play, let's grab Ecclesiastes 12. All right. Because we're talking about the tariffs. We're talking about the state of the economy. All right. The hyperinflation, the stagflation, all these things that are getting ready to affect these people as a whole. Right. Can you read that for me out? Ecclesiastes 12, 1 through 4.
Con. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them.
Right. So this is the time that, as the scripture said, you got to remember thy creator in the days of thy youth. This is talking about in these times now. It said, while the evil days come not. You see that? So we're in that process of those evil days coming. All right. This is what these, like they were saying, the tit for tat, the trade wars, the increase on the tariffs, things getting more expensive. All right. This is what's going to happen before these days get completely evil. All right. Because people, in due time, people are going to crash out, man. People are not going to be able to afford anything at some point. And it's just going to be crime after crime, you know, theft, murder. All right. People are not going to have nothing to lose at that point, man. This is where we're talking about this is the direction where society is headed to, whether you believe it or not, whether you can see that or not. Right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
If I may add too, when you think about, war, you have the foot soldiers that are just the pawns. Hey, with this trade war, hey, you middle class, low class, income Americans, y'all are those pawns. Y'all are just the little pieces that's just getting thrown at the machine to just be devoured, Verse 2, it says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Verse 3, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few.
Yeah, the keepers of the house. Going back to these economists, as they said, they fear that America could hit a recession or something worse, right? So everybody is in a state of discomfort, disbelief, fear. All right, because they don't know, people don't know what's going to happen next, but we do, right? We got the answer, Sway, right?
Right.
You got it.
That's it. Continuing on, Ecclesiastes 12:3 in the latter, it says, "In those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the door shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low."
You speak out.
Yeah, that's what we see that's happening, right? The ultimate demise of this society being broken down, right? There's not going to be any economic growth. There's not going to be anything to go out and see. There's not going to be anything to do, because that's what's ultimately being, orchestrated, through these elites, and their puppet leaders that are set up in these kingdoms. But it's all really the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai at the end of the day.
That's right. That's right.
So with that understanding of who's really in control, it will behoove you to remember your creator in the days of thy youth, right? Let's link up with the power, of Israel, the God of the Hebrews, our power, Yahweh Shemel Shai, so that we can have favor.
That's it. To be covered.
That's it.
Let me go back to it. So the one that came out about 8 hours earlier, billionaire Trump supporter warns of economic nuclear war triggered by tariffs. Check that out.
The breaking news this morning, we are witnessing the rapid...
Zaquan, it's lagging again.
Bear with me.
Yeah, it's lagging real bad. You want me to pull it up on my side?
Yeah. Type it in on YouTube and pull it up. It's a good video. Lord willing, it'll play on yours too.
Kind of pulling it up right now.
Okay. Yeah, it does this from time to time. Salaki out there, man. It's just, fucking internet, man. That's why this shit gotta go.
Facts.
Niggas
want to send shit to Mars, but niggas can't fix the fucking Wi-Fi reception.
Right. Shit crazy, man.
Shit is insane. I got to share right now, Zaquan.
All right, here we go. All right, you got it up.
Okay.
The breaking news this morning, we are witnessing the rapid destruction of the market. Stock futures are plunging this morning once again as the turmoil from President Trump's trade war is rocking markets here in the United States and around the world. Donald Trump's baseline 10% tariff across the board, it went into effect Saturday. And also so many countries are bracing for more as the targeted tariffs that he announced are set to kick in Wednesday. So far today, Hong Kong's main exchange dropped 13%. Taiwan's exchange saw its biggest one-day loss on record. And the S&P is now nearing a bear market defined as a drop of 20% or more from a recent peak. Add to that, billionaire hedge fund manager and Donald Trump supporter Bill Ackman is now somewhat leading Wall Street's backlash to the tariffs, calling Trump's tariff plan a, quote, self-induced economic nuclear winter. Also saying, this is not what we voted for. It's brutal reality. The president and his team are offering mixed messages on a key question in all of this, which is the president willing to negotiate,
Or are these tariffs here to stay? Here was the president last night on the way back to Washington.
Now, I'm willing to deal with China, but they have to solve their surplus. We have a tremendous deficit problem with China. I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations. And they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking.
As Matt Egan starting us off for what is going to be another rocky day. But what's happened already?
Well, Kate, look, fear continues to dominate financial markets around the world. And make no mistake, this is all about the president's decision to launch a trade war. Now, this is how bad things are. Futures are down 2%. This is actually good news. This is an improvement because overnight we saw Dow futures were down 4% or so, about 1,500 points. You mentioned the Hang Seng in Hong Kong. This was the worst day for the Hang Seng since 1997 when Asian markets were in complete crisis mode, right? And so this is an indication, though, that futures are going to open with the S&P trading just above what would be a bear market, right, which is that 20% decline. Just for some context here, if the S&P closed in a bear market today, this would be the second fastest bear market in history, second only to 2020 during COVID and surpassing the 1987 crash. Look at this. So this is the S&P 500 so far this year. You can see things were getting a little bit rocky in February and March, and then Liberation Day came last.
Hey, I got the scripture.
Con.
This is right on time. This is just to add on to what was being said here. This is Luke. This is Luke chapter 21 and Luke 21 verse 9. And it reads, it says, Luke 21 verse 9, it says, but when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. And I want to get this word for commotions, because Yahushua said, but when you shall hear of wars and commotions, right? So this word for commotions, pull this up. All right. And that Greek word is
Strong's G181, akatastasia.
Akatastasia in the Greek for commotions. And it says confusion, tumult, commotion, instability, a state of disorder, disturbance, confusion, right? Is that not what's going on right now? Because of the tariffs, because of the uncertainty of the economy, all right? How people don't know what the hell's going on or what to believe, who to trust, right? Everybody in society right now is in a state of confusion, all right? People don't know what tariffs are. You know what I'm saying? People don't really, Jake ain't really paying attention to what's going on. They just know there's some shit that's going on in the government, that's not right.
Right.
It says,
as far as niggas know, it's just eggs are expensive. That's as far as you're gonna get with a nigga.
That's it, man. Shit costs too much. Right? Instability, it says that word commotions again, it says instability, a state of disorder, disturbance, confusion. All right. That's everything that's going on in the planet Earth right now, man. The scriptures are faithful and true. All right. Luke 21 and 10. It says, Luke chapter 21, verse 10, it says, then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That's happening now. The protests, the uproars of the people, right? It says, in great earthquakes shall be in diverse places. Didn't like a massive earthquake hit somewhere the other day? A bunch of people died. I know something went down in was it over there in the Polynesian islands?
One of them,
countries, like out there in the Thailand or something like that. And then there was another one recently that just happened that a whole bunch of people died. I believe Elder Manata Zaba just did a lesson on it. All right, but hey, these things are happening. In great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. We just came through the Passover. We had the blood moon. You had the seven planetary alignments in the heavens. You see what I'm saying? All these things that are written are happening, Jake. All right. You go ahead. I'll go back.
Come.
Heavy times right now, man.
Yep. Hey, when I saw this Liberation Day, with Trump, basically saying like this is gonna be a day where America, regains itself and its respect in the global world. When I thought about that word liberation, I just thought it was really the Lord finna just let all hands off. He finna liberate niggas to the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Jake is gonna see what it's like when the Lord is just letting all hell break loose.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sin, you're gonna get the effects.
Yep. This that cruel Lord, Isaiah 19.
Yep.
It's not playing. I don't hear anything.
Khan Salakia. It might be because I had shared another tab. 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, I think
it right now.
It be acting up, man.
Yeah, I just reshared it.
Got you. There you go.
President rolled out his tariffs, and look at this. It's gone basically straight down since then. The S&P 500 lost over $5 trillion in value after Liberation Day. Look at this complete wipeout. And you mentioned, Kate, that we are starting to hear from some notable billionaires speaking out. Bill Ackman, who endorsed Trump and has been a very outspoken supporter of elements of the Trump agenda. He is basically pleading with the president to change course. He put out this tweet last night. He said that the president...
Lengthy statement. Yeah.
It was. Most of his are. But he said that the president has an opportunity on Monday to call a timeout and have the time to execute on fixing an unfair tariff system. He said, alternatively, we are heading for a self-induced economic nuclear winter, and we should start hunkering down. And Kate, we may find out in the next few hours whether or not the president is going to heed these calls.
I mean, according to
get real.
Coming, this 90-day pause that he's asking for, there's no sign of it yet. Stand by. And you have some context also, just putting the beginning of the Trump administration into historical context in terms of the market.
Yeah, it's been atrocious, right? So the S&P 500, since the president was sworn in, has lost 15% of its value. This is the worst start to any presidential term since the S&P 500 launched back in the 1950s. And again, this is being driven by recession fears. We heard Goldman Sachs overnight came out and they bumped up their recession odds. They now say a 45% chance of a recession, although they said it would go even higher if the tariffs kick in.
Boom.
So guys, this morning, it's the real fallout and the ripple effects that keep on rippling from the markets. And then there's the political impact of it, which is a real big question mark right now. Markets, and then this, I don't know if this is an inkling of what is to come in terms of political impact, Mark, but you now have Wall Street titans weighing in, like billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman. He supported Donald Trump in the election, and he's now somewhat leading the way of Wall Street's pushback on these tariffs. He put out a lengthy social media post in part saying, this is not what we voted for, and we are headed for a self-induced economic nuclear winter, and we should start hunkering down now. Do you think, if nothing else, that changes minds at the White House?
Well, it's interesting that he is relaying his concerns via X, right? As opposed to picking up the telephone, and maybe he did, and called President Trump. But the reality is that this is how people are communicating with him. This is how they get Donald Trump to move a certain way. Ackman is now up again, putting out more messages. Last night, he criticized Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, saying that Lutnick's firm benefited financially off of the economy imploding. This morning, he's now taken that back and said, listen, I'm just really frustrated about what's happening. We've made such great economic gains. But as you talk about apprehension and frustration and, us looking at our 401ks, the likes of Bill Ackman are looking at their portfolio collapse.
Margaret, one of the things I'm noticing the trend now is a couple of the ways that President Trump is talking about it, right? On Saturday, he put out a Truth Social post saying, hang tough, it won't be easy, but the end result will be historic. On the plane back on Air Force One last night.
That's bullshit, right? Smoking mirrors, man. right? Hey, they're leading you to the slaughter, man. All right, Jeremiah 51. Hey, Babylon ain't gonna be healed, right? Can you get that one in Nahum, the wound, the grievous wound?
Yep. This is Nahum chapter 3 and verse 19. And it says in the subheader for the chapter, or the chapter header, I should say, it says Nineveh's complete ruin. And we know that America is spiritual Nineveh.
That's right.
Nahum 3 and 19, it says, there is no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap their hands over thee.
You got
For
it.
upon whom? Oh, you want me to speak on it?
Yeah, speak on it, brother.
Starting back at the top, Nahum 3 and 19, it says, there is no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous. Right. You know, again, thinking about, you know, the ancient Roman Empire, right? The deadly wound that was healed, right? And now the revived Roman Empire exercised through America, Babylon the Great, NATO, and the EU. We see that wound is grievous. You know, it's no healing, right? It says, all that hear the bruit of thee shall clap their hands over thee, for upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually. So when these nations see the destruction of Babylon the Great, you know, they're going to be happy, right? Because ultimately they understand, look, your demise is equated to peace. You've gone throughout the earth being a tyrant, right? Exercising your will, forcing the wine, the doctrines and philosophies on all of these different nations, you know, simply to forge your hegemony.
That's right.
You know, so these nations that you're trying to backdoor and, you know, now you want to sit there and look at them and say, yeah, I'm gonna hit you with a tariff. They're like, oh fuck no, we're not finna keep going with this shit. You can only beat on somebody for so long before they stand up.
That's right.
And that's what the Lord is doing, and he's raising up the spirit of these nations, right? As the scriptures say, has thou become weak as we?
That's right.
You know, them licks that they was getting from Esau, from the beast, it ain't hitting as hard as it once did. Really from the whore, because the whore is the one that sits on that beast. That's know, Babylon the Great, America.
So, and like we talked about yesterday, America's being isolated from all the nations because the impact from these tariffs by Trump. They said that you know, these nations are going to do business with each other elsewhere. See what I'm saying? Yep. So they don't need America anymore. And what you think is going to happen to the economy? All right, because remember, America gets everything, you know, imported from overseas. You know, America doesn't make anything. So what is that going to do to this economy? You know, for the products and the goods. You see? So everything is headed for complete disaster.
God. If I may add to Zaquan, a lot of people, they're not so much obsessed with brands as much as they once were in past times. So people wouldn't, you know, be as opposed to the idea of looking for an alternative, you know, to where they don't have to spend as much money, you know. So people are going to try and find different ways to, you know, fit their lives to the rise of inflation, you know. So as the brother had put in the comment, America is a consumer nation. Hey, these people are going to have to start to learn how to consume efficiently, right? But even within that efficiency, there's going to be a point that breaks them.
Yep,
that's the goal. That is the primary goal, is to break these people, break their will to where they submit themselves to that digital all.
That's right. That's right. You can play a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? And just, you know, and then we'll just bring out, you know, one little article, read that paragraph, and that'd be it, because we're already about an hour in. But, you know, the point is made. You know, we're speaking about the trade wars, the tariffs, the protests, and the global instability that's happening worldwide. All right. This all involves the transition to that new system is coming. All right. You got to be able to see it, Jake. The system is on the way. All right. They're stalling this shit out, but eventually they're gonna have to come all the way with it. Right? The chip can come this year. The shit, they can bring out the chip this summer. You know?
Neuralink is looking for patients this year.
Come on, man.
Like this technology is not going nowhere, which is why all of these camps are about to get a rude awakening. At least they repent and acknowledge the truth for what it is.
That's it.
This shit is here.
That's
the
it.
access to buying and selling. We are at that time when they're talking about, like the brother said, they crashing the system to bring in the new one. This is historic.
Yep. That's it.
Everything that you've seen take place over the past 5-6 years has been the goal of the elites to forward this crisis. That quote from Winston Churchill: "Never let a good crisis go to waste."
That's right. That's right, brother. Go ahead. You can play some more, and then we'll, wrap it up.
He'd said sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. With the administration, of course, continue to send mixed signals on what exactly that means.
Ain't no healing.
Nope.
Ain't no medicine. There's nothing that can heal America. The damage is irreversible. You are talking to somebody that's in stage 4 cancer. Just go ahead and make your provisions for your family. Cause you out of there, my nigga.
That's it.
You're done.
What do you think of that message from the President of the United States?
Kate, it's interesting. My colleagues, Jim Vandehei and Mike Allen, wrote this morning, and I actually think it's the right framing for it, that usually you think of President Trump as trying to make a deal, and in this case, he's trying to make a point. So he's trying a series of different messaging that suggests that he intends to dig in, and that he's just trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. Can he play golf and show everyone if he is not worried they shouldn't be either? Is he telling everybody, this is going to hurt for a while, but it's going to get better? Is he going to use a medicine analogy, which is interesting for a person who says everybody should have the right to decide whether or not they want to take the medicine. So I think he's trying a lot of different messaging here, but it's because of the pushback that he's getting, not just from the markets, but as you mentioned, from Wall Street. We saw this morning, Jamie Dimon, the CEO for JP Morgan, warning in his letter to shareholders that he believes these tariffs are going to significantly slow the U.S. economy, which already is facing pressure and weaken, and that it could drive inflation. You've got AEI, the conservative think tank, over the weekend putting out, you remember that formula that the White House released to explain the rationale for the tariffs, putting out a statement saying that actually the formula is wrong, that they used the wrong variable for import prices, and that it will create something like a 4-to-1 ratio in how bad we'll feel the tariffs. So if the president truly intends to dig in, he is going to need a series of different messaging tests to see what can assuage different parts of the U.S. Some will be regular Americans who have very little extra money to cushion the blow of this, and some of this will be multimillionaires and billionaires who just don't like it.
Yeah, and so then, Mark, the question, one of the things, a factoid that Matt Egan actually told us this morning, which is something that Trump being committed to tariffs in this way would care a lot about, which is that this is the worst start to any presidential term since the S&P 500 launched in the 1950s. And then it's what is Congress's role here? Here's how Punchbowl put it this morning. Senate and House Republicans are beginning to panic, although A, we don't think that Congress will pass a bill to take tariff power away from the president, and B, it's an open question as to whether the Hill can have any influence at all with the president on trade policy. It's an interesting moment for Senate and House Republicans. I mean, in Congress in general, which typically has the power, has tariff authority. What do you see happening on the Hill?
Well, this is when this is the giving too much power to the executive, right? Because the Republicans are in control of the House, they're in control of the Senate, but they've ceded all authority to President Trump so far in just about everything. So when they feel like they have to step up, it only makes it more difficult for them to do so. However, if we are to believe the likes of Howard Lutnick and Peter Navarro, yesterday on the show, saying that basically these tariffs are here for a pretty long time, and it's not going to be changed overnight. That
Yeah,
means
go ahead.
that
That's it.
members of Congress going home every weekend now into the summer, and they're going to have to.
So my shit was bugging.
No, it's cool. It does that. But yeah, that's it. I mean, we heard enough. We were at the end of the video, but I wanted to bring this out before we wrap it up. And just one scripture here, because all those that are tuning in right now, you get it. You see exactly what's happening. You see how the scriptures line up to what's playing out right now on the earth, as the Lord has said. All right, I want to get this too. Let me share my screen, and then that'll be it. All right. Let's go to, bear with me. Here we go. Okay, so I would have to read the article from my other tab pulled up, but as you can see here, this came out from the Telegraph. It says Trump is turning the United States into a global laughingstock. All right. It says there is a perfectly rational case for resetting trade, but the arbitrary and incoherent administration isn't making it. You see what I'm saying? So right now, America is the laughing stock. You know, people are this place basically is a mockery, right? Let me read this real quick. This is Habakkuk 2:6. Just want to read that real quick. This Habakkuk 2:6. It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him?" Right. So pretty much as we see in it right now, all right, Esau, America pretty much is being made a mockery, man. Okay. A byword. It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his." All right, because we know, according to history, all right, Esau stole everything. It says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So again, this debt that America's in is not going to be able to be paid off. All right, so the only solution, as we're seeing, is them intentionally crash this economy because they have to usher in this new system. And I'm gonna read one paragraph, and that'll be it. One paragraph or two. Maybe I'll bring this out in another lesson. Right, but it says, here we go. So in the article here that you see on the screen, I had to read it from another tab, but it says, they will rebalance global trade reform the way the U.S. government raises revenue and drive the reindustrialization of the country. There is a perfectly rational case to be made for President Trump imposition of tariffs on the United States main trading partners, even if it's hard to find anyone with a basic understanding of economics who will actually agree with it. Enough Americans have been disadvantaged by globalization, rendered uncompetitive as lower cost producers have undercut their industries to make for a compelling argument for a reset. See? Similarly, it is perfectly true that some countries are used to non-tariff barriers to keep out U.S. products. What the Trump administration calls the UK's unscientific opposition to chlorine-washed chicken is a case in point. Last one here. It says the trouble, because everything that America produces is fucking toxic, man, and that's why, as we brought out at camp, all these countries are protesting, and they're not buying American-made products. This is going on in Europe, Sweden, France, Mexico, Canada. All right, people are literally cutting America off from everything. All right, the article went into how the American brand is toxic. People don't want to have nothing to do with it. Again, that adds on to what the mockery, the shameful spewing on your glory. The scriptures talk about. People don't want to have shit to do with this place anymore. It says,
facts.
It says the trouble is the White House isn't making a rational case for the president's plans. Instead, the policy and the arguments being made for it have become completely chaotic. Trump is starting to make the U.S. look ridiculous, and that is large in part what is rallying the financial markets. Boom, man, that's heavy, bro. You see, and that's it. You know, what more can we tell you at this point, man? It's all downhill from here. All right, that's that the gradualism. All right, slowly but surely, are they crashing the system to usher in the beast system? All right, the digital payments, man. All right, but you got anything else? That's it, man. You know, that's pretty much the point.
Let's see here. Yeah, I just want to get something right quick.
You got it.
This is Ephesians chapter 5, and I'll start at verse 16 in the NLT. It says, "Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. Don't act thoughtlessly, but understand what the Lord wants you to do." You know, so everything that we went into in this lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Lord has made it abundantly clear of what he is preparing to do in these days. The days are evil, and we've been given the insight to understand the scope in its entirety, right? Through the Holy Spirit, the things that the Lord had gave us to understand and to know, the tokens, right? So we have to be very cognizant, and we have to move in the Spirit, you know?
That's right, man. Well, yeah, that's pretty much the point, man. You know, I pray that you sincere believers were edified in this lesson today. This is News and Prophecy, Trade Wars, Protests, and Global Instability, the Transition. All right? We'll close it out by giving all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakapadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth, and double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring, the house of David, the elect, that's pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers, and shalom to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.
Hey, the water.